Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's stream with the Crystal Palace and Liverpool match reaction. I think all of us here and everyone watching was not expecting this result to be the topic of the day, but here we are. If you're new to anything Liverpool, please follow, like, and subscribe to any of our accounts along Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Well, I'm not sure if I know where to start, but I have to say it's a well-deserved win for Palace. They were the better team for at least most of first half. We had too much. We took too much time to get into the game and then dominate. So if it hadn't been for Allison, we would have been shell shocked way earlier. But I want to hear your guys' feelings about the game, and we'll start with you, Craig. What's your thought about the game?
Right. Well, that's probably the most disjointed performance I've seen from us under Arne Slot. We were just so dysfunctional in every department, even though we had 72% possession. Florian Wirtz is struggling, unfortunately, and I'll say more on I'll say more on Wirtz as we go on. But the thing what annoyed me was we couldn't string a 5-yard pass together. We couldn't find anybody in an E-Crew shirt. And I used to coach football when I was younger, and you always teach kids, if you can't play a five-yard pass, you shouldn't be playing football. But I think this is a wake-up call Liverpool have needed for a while. And I'm hoping that's what it serves as now. It is painful. It stings this because of the results of what have happened today, but take it on the chin. And we go again. But it was a late winner, but it wasn't us this time. It was Crystal Palace. And to be fair, if it wasn't for Alisson Becker, we should have been 5-0 down at half-time.
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating this result at all. Like Abdul Jabbar says, we were trashy today. Do you share this insight, West? Do you agree that we were terrible today? And yeah.
Yeah, we do. I do agree with that. Like today, like we were so bad. Like I agree with Greg. Like Allison saved us a lot of times. Like this game, it could have been a brainwash. Like this team could have just ran through us because they were too easy to go through us. They were too easy to ping passes. They had the right time to control, and I don't know what the experiment was today to try Vert in the left wing, which didn't work. I think Slot let Vert John in the left wing. Like because like the ball was never getting to him. It was always going to Salah, and Salah has been shocking for the past few games. So for me, like yes, we can take it up the chin, but then like it's actually pissing off how our subs killed our momentum. And yeah, like there's nothing I could say. Like I'm just too pissed off. I'm just too pissed about this game.
Yeah. Drew, what do you think is first of all, do you agree with our colleagues here? And I think you do. But what do you think is the reason why everything went so sideways? Was it the setup, the tactic? Was it the I don't know, the belief that we can just walk in 3 points?
Yeah, I think that part most settled for me. Like it just looked like they didn't get out of second gear for the longest time. We keep doing that. Like before, it was like we'd score goals and then we drop to second gear and then try to cruise. It was like we were cruising from the start. Craig said we couldn't like link the ball, like 5-yard passes, and that was just constantly throughout the game. Even in the final 10 minutes, there were misplaced passes. It was just yeah, it was embarrassing. I agree with Wes, like starting Verts on the wing, almost like it seemed like Slot's like trying to give him multiple opportunities and chances to hit the ground running or find a way to link in. It didn't work today. I think it will eventually, but it was not today. And yeah, for me, it was the attitude, the passion. Like I I would never be happy with defeat, but I could accept maybe like if the performance was you gave it your all and you just simply weren't the better team, but we didn't give it our all. Palace were the better team throughout. We had played sloppy all game. We got a sloppy goal, and we could have gotten the point from that, but we didn't deserve it. And I'm annoyed at just the cruise control from the players. I'm looking for leaders. Allison was the one who stepped up and kept us in the game, but everyone else was lacking in leadership that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scratching my head here. Well, not literally scratching my head, but I can't believe that Mo Salah wasn't substituted this afternoon, because I'd have. Yeah, I know he put Frimpong on the right, but I'd have took Mo Salah off and put Chiesa on the right, for me. But the pace was too slow. The build-up was too slow. We were playing the game at Palace's pace, and when they went 1-0 up, it was right, okay, 10 men behind the ball, break us down. And that's something we even struggled to do when Jurgen was manager. And that's there's a continuation of this now. So I'm more annoyed with the manner of the defeat and how we've lost the game. I mean, I know Chiesa scored, but
here is my thing, because if I don't remember all too bad, I think this is the first time we've gone behind. So this time, I mean, in this season, and this is the first time we have to chase an equalizer, not a winner. And I mean, we should have lost the game in the first half. Everybody knows that we should have been 4 or 5 down. So I have no issue with that in itself. But it looks like, I mean, as long as it's a draw, I mean, we can take our time. We can build up. We can be a little bit safer. But when we go 1 down, it doesn't look like we have another way of playing. It looks like we still have to build up from behind. And let's say that the second goal had come in, 80th minute. We don't have time to use 20 minutes on every attack. We have to figure out a way to break down and play through low block teams, because that's what we're going to face every time, except maybe at the Etihad.
Yeah.
My thought. I have a thought. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Ekitike was not available due to a stupid red card or 2 yellows. Do you think that's the reason why Wirtz ended up on the left side instead of Gakpo, because we didn't have Ekitike to start? Because we can all see that Isaac is still a bit off in his pace. Do you think the tactical dispositions was a key feature here for the way things started for us? I'm going to start with you, Drew, now on this one.
I think for me, I agreed with Wes on where it's starting on the wing. I don't know if that's because Ekitike wasn't available or not, but I was very surprised that he started there. And then for me, the only other tactical thing I thought was I felt like we had a bit of rhythm before he made the Frimpong, and who came on with Frimpong? Rio and Gamoa. Not Chiesa then. It almost felt like one too much at that point. I felt like there was at one point a bit of rhythm developing, and then he threw on more players. I know Chiesa got the goal in the end, but it just, I don't know. It was panicked. It was like, let me get on as many creative players as I can, and hopefully someone creates something. And in the end, that happened. But I don't know. I can't criticize more than that. I don't hindsight 2020, all of that. For me, the most disappointing thing is just the player individual performances, attitude and energy and commitment. especially like giving up a goal that late. Like it wasn't even, it wasn't even like a well-worked Palace goal. I just felt like they wanted it more. And that is like the worst sin you can commit as a player if you step on the pitch and don't want it more than the opposition.
What about you, Wes? Do you agree with Drew on this?
I do actually agree with you, but then I also look at, like, of course, Ekitike got a red card, like, for stupidity, but then I cannot fault him for today's performance because, like, everyone was just off it. They were slow, they didn't care much. The second balls, Crystal Palace were winning them. Like, it was very complete different. And I remember there's a
But
channel that we did with.
do you think the lack of his availability made us look worse today because we had to switch everybody around so much that the
I don't think
choice?
so. I don't think so because then, even though you can take out votes, you can just put Case in the wing, or you can just give Rio a chance starting in that game. So I never look at where, like, oh, other players got sent off, that's why we lost this game. I look at the performance. I look at the players. The players need to take accountability for their performance because they were off it today. They were like, they thought they were 3-0 up in that game when they started. They thought they were winning, and when they were not winning, it was still 0-0. And then the cross, the corner they scored, it was 1-0. Then they still were slow. They still were losing balls. Like, I'm sure Liverpool couldn't even pass like 3 guys. And that was the problem where I look at now as the coach now. And I remember I had a conversation with Stitches. I'm sure Drew knows him. And I talked about removing Salah off these games because I don't think Salah is that guy where he was back then, where a moment or two, I don't think Salah is that guy. So I always said, take Salah out and bring in someone better because now Salah was off it today, but he's been off it for the past 6 games, to be honest. So now, like, I look at where the coach is now, like, did they want to just shoehorn words, or because maybe if we played the midfield I played against Everton, maybe the game could have been different. Because now I get Wirtz is 120 million signing, but then if Wirtz doesn't work, you can't force Wirtz to work. Like, you have to give him his time, like, we need to grow as a player.
But brother Craig, do you agree with your colleagues, or is it like like West says with Salah? Because I think he got better when Frimpong came along. Is Salah a victim to all the changes and dynamics around him, or is he a part of a bigger problem to why we played so poorly today?
I agree with the guys to a certain degree. I'm not going to use Ekitike as an excuse because there shouldn't be any excuses at Liverpool when you play for Liverpool Football Club.
No, but the lack of him as availability.
We look from the first whistle to the last, we were second to everything. There was no shape whatsoever. And for me, Mo Salah looked disinterested all day. He didn't want to know. He didn't. If anybody says he put a shift in today, then show me where. Because he didn't. I mean, yeah, he came alive when Frimpong came on, but he still didn't create anything.
Nobody did.
Nobody did. No, I mean, the only person who can hold his head up high this afternoon is Alisson Becker, in all fairness. But we are going to get games like this, but there's so much expectancy of us, and people are going to be saying, well, look how much money they've spent. I mean, Isak only got 6 touches in the first half. There was no service to Isak, so I'm not going to dig him out. If you don't get service as a striker, what you're supposed to do, I don't want him dropping deep. I want him to stay in the 18-yard box, stay on the shoulder of the last defender, and because he'll do the business for you. But I think with the changes, I mean, I'm not surprised he put Wirtz on the left-hand side because that's where he drifts. That's where he drifts for Germany. So I'm not surprised he put him there. But I'd have started with Gakpo on the left-hand side because I was surprised Szoboszlai started today. I'd have just started. Maka wasn't. I don't know if you saw the bench, but Maka wasn't happy when he was taken off. Curtis Jones didn't do anything either for me when he came on. So I think this is a game where they all need to have a look in the mirror and take stock. I think the Canati had a stinker for me. He was a liability in the back four. But who'd you put on in place of him?
Well,
can't put Cinderella on Gomez. I mean, he's a glass slipper, 24/7. I think Arnie Slot might have to get his boots out where things are going.
But like JF is saying here on X, we need to talk about the defense. And for me, that was the big issue today. And like you said, brother Craig, Konate today was back to the games he had when we played before the Arsenal game, where he was all over the place. He couldn't stop a ball if his life depended on it. I mean, he was rubbish. But what also surprised me was that Frimpong didn't start. I really, I mean, our right side when it comes to Bradley and Konate is not good enough. Like, I mean, one thing is when you put under pressure, but when you can't, have pace on the passing, you can't hit anybody. I mean, for me, those two were a big, big, big problem today. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you agree. West, do you have an opinion on that, or am I just being narrow-minded?
What?
Did West? I mean, for me, Konate and Bradley were a big, big disappointment, and my main reason of concern to why we conceded so many chances. Do you agree to that, or do you think it's more of a team effort? Is the reason?
No, not really. I do agree with you because I look at like I think Bradley did better than Konate because the way Konate was like, I thought Crystal Palace were actually beating us. You know, they were preparing us our team, but then I always looked at the chances they created. They were mistakes. You know, they were like there were big mistakes that like which cost us. You know, like Konate was losing the ball. Like I'm sure in 20 minutes, like we could have considered like 3 goals. I don't know if I'm wrong, but then like Bradley kind of did better. I think Bradley going forward actually improved and defensive wise he did kind of well. But then like I look at the players, like for me, like they were actually like Konate was the one who was like if like Konate wants to go to Madrid, then let him go because these type of performances cannot be tolerated in Liverpool, to be honest. So I just keep it like that.
What about you, Drew? Do you agree with West? Because we've talked about this in the chat a lot of the times, and I agree that 1 second Konate is world class, and then he has games like this. And now that Leone is injured, we really don't have any center backs to fulfill when he's having these kind of games. Do you also agree that the right side was the problem today?
I mean, yeah, in terms of where Palace were getting their chances, they had an absolute shocker. Like that first half was one of the worst halves I've ever seen him play. Like, you can't defend that. And I agree with Wes where I thought Bradley was better, but I think that like didn't help that Konate was having such a bad match. Like because then like Bradley's left exposed in that regards too, and they didn't help each other. I thought Bradley had some bright moments going forward. I didn't think this was his best game. Obviously, he got subbed at halftime, so says what Slot thinks. But I think if we had a better option to back up Konate at this point, I think that he would have been the one subbed off at halftime. Like we saw Slot do that with Kwanzaa first game last season, and I think Konate deserved to be subbed after that first half. But as for their chances, like they scored, I'm happy that we're not talking about like some of the refereeing decisions. Not that there were too many, but the first goal came from a corner that should have been a goal kick. But regardless, it's like once that happens, you need to defend that. And it was another one like it hit Gravenberch in the side of the head. It was kind of like that Endo goal that got conceded the other day. And it's just, I don't know if that's concentration, like whatever it is, it's just such a sloppy goal to concede. And then at the end, I feel like that was just, ping ponging in the box, back of the net. So it wasn't like, for me, the chances that they got from the sloppy defending, they didn't convert because Allison just stepped up and had an immense performance. So they got joy from that. They just weren't able to convert. They converted from our sloppiness and our just lackluster energy and will to get it out of the box and be the better team in those moments.
Well, I agree with you on that one, Drew, because I wanted Konate off, and in my opinion, I think Gravenberg should have been put down in the central defensive after half time. Soboslai should have been in the central midfield and taken his place, and Frimpong should have been on. That's my opinion. Craig, do you agree with West or Drew, or do I have some points for once?
I agree with all three of you. You've all made really valid points. And the thing which is disappointing me more than anything, when you look at the size of our centre halves in Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahim Konate, I can't believe that we are so poor at defending corners. It beggars belief. They can't even clear their own lines. There's no man marking. There's no zonal marking. We're playing the eye line too often. Look how many times we got caught today with that eye line, and we were lucky that they were offside a couple of times, but we're taking too many risks there. Keep it simple. Defend, clear your lines, simple ball, and then push up. But we're better than this. And the thing is as well, we've got another tough game on Tuesday night, and the atmosphere is going to be even worse than what it was today. So these guys have really got to take a long hard look in the mirror now, and no doubt Arnie Slot and his backroom staff will be. They'll have learned a lot from today. But we're not. I don't think we'll play as bad as that again. That's the worst first half I've seen for a long time from a Liverpool side. It's hard to take because it's not the fact we've been beat; it's how we've been beat because we let it happen ourselves. We didn't do anything. We was hemorrhaging. That's the only way I can explain it. We couldn't stop the bleeding, no matter what we did. And it was like square pegs in round doors. I couldn't believe there was no shape, even though we played 4-2 and with Verts at the tip of the diamond. And I'm not going to dig Verts out. I just think take this on the chin and learn from it and say, right, this doesn't happen again, no matter what. And we've got to find a way of breaking that low block down. And we've certainly, I agree with you three, we've certainly got to defend better. Absolutely. Because we're conceding too often. And the goals, what we're conceding are soft, they're sloppy. And I agree with Drew. It was a corner. It was never a corner. It was a goal kick all there. And then VAR tried to take the Chiesa goal off us for an handball on Salah, which never was.
I think if it had been anyone else than Salah being pulled in his shirt, they would have given the penalty instead. But because they never give him any penalty, they just okay. But like Shaban says, he says he likes to he's more disappointed in Slot. Now, like West and Drew and you guys have been talking about is the amount of mistakes we're making. And I mean, one thing is the tactical dispositions of Slot, but he's not the one making the mistakes. He's not the one not being able to give a 5-yard pass. Yeah, it's not the Slot that's the problem in those moments, but he is responsible for the tactical setup, and that's what I thought about when I said since Ekitike was away, we didn't have a chance to play. First of all, a player who's in form, who would suited this opposition better. And I think that is the reason why we had Isaac in the middle and Wirtz on the left. But I also think he missed on the right back position. I think that should have been Frimpong from start. I also think, like Drew, that, or at least that Konaté should have been subbed off at halftime, and maybe Gravenberch put in and made changes. For me, there should have been more changes at halftime than gradually, like he did, with one here and one here. He should have made 2 or 3 substitutions at halftime. Craig, do you agree with me on that one, or am I just off the ball?
No, I agree with you. I'd have made changes at half time, definitely. Basically, to put them on the back foot and put us on the front foot straight from the off. Because another thing as well, I'm going to ask you all a question in a second. We've also got to learn to defend throw-ins better. But if Etitike hadn't been suspended today, do you think he'd have started over Isak up front?
Yep.
And I put that to all 3 of you.
No doubt.
Wes?
Mike?
Oscar, Mike?
What was the question again?
Right, if Etitike hadn't been suspended for today's game, do you think Arne Slot would have started him over Isak up front?
Maybe, yeah, I think so. Maybe we would have started Ekitike besides Isak. But then for me, I don't. That's not the point of this loss. Like, this loss was the performance of the players. Like,
That's
as
just-
if they didn't want it.
But that is the only disposition that Slot does not control, because when it comes to player availability, either it's injuries or red cards or suspensions, he can control that. But I think the flow of the attack would have been better if he had played instead of Isaac. I'm not trashing Isaac because he is off form, but it doesn't help him when Averts is then on the left side, and Szoboszlai is on right back, but Drew, do you think Slot did what he could when it comes to substitution and tactical disposition today?
I mean, I disagreed with things, but again, like, we won the first 5 games based on his changes. So I want to put that as the biggest asterisk to what I'm saying. Like, not that I know better than Slot or anything. I just thought it's like one of those ones where you gamble, and I think he got it wrong today. Like, I think, like, you were saying, Errol, that Verts drifts out wide and plays up like towards the top and the left for Germany, and it's like that makes sense. Like, if you're like, Gakpo's been a bit off the pace, or hasn't had his best last couple of games, so maybe give him a rest, have him come off the bench, let Wirtz get in, try to attack from a different angle. Like, you can see the logic on that. I wouldn't have done that. Like, I would have just put Gakpo out on the left and kept Wirtz in the midfield if you're going to start Wirtz. And then right back, I was okay with Bradley starting. I thought he's done decently. I think Frimpong just hasn't gotten the minutes in his legs yet to maybe start. But, like, if that's the tweaks, like, I wouldn't do wholesale changes. So I'm not sure. Like, most disappointed with that we couldn't sub off Konaté at halftime. He had a better second half, but at the same time, it's like he was so poor the first half that was where you have to take him off and get that, like, completely different energy going into the second half. And then I think for me, the only other thing for Slot was, I'm blanking on the exact timing of it, but I felt like after his first substitutions in the second half, there was a period where we were playing well. Like, we were linking up the ball. Players were actually able to pass it to them, to the person next to him, make good runs and link. And then he made a sub again, like 10 minutes later, to get another creative player onto the pitch. And then I think that's when, at that point, he took off like all the defensive players and just put as many creative players on the field at the same time to try to create something. And I think that's what we're seeing in these moments, is we're having so many different players in the lineup where that, like, flow isn't there. The cohesion isn't there. It almost seems like it's a cup game where a bunch of players who haven't played before are playing at the same time, trying to get their rhythm together, and the passes are just behind each other. The timing's off. So I think that was it. It was almost like too much at the end. We got the scrappy goal, but I don't know. I thought there was flow for like 10 minutes, and then he should have left it there. I don't know. But hindsight.
West, the flow that Drew is talking about, do you think that came from the substitutions and the tactics from Slot, or the fact that Palace weren't even, pressing us anymore? They were just laying back and letting us have the ball and move around. Or do you think Slot should have been done more changes at halftime instead of the one here and one here, like Drew points out?
Yeah, I think like you see the flow Drew was talking about. I think it came because I think Palace just sat back. They were just like, okay, we'll hold out this lead. I think that's what Palace did. But then like, the changes for me, I was gonna take off Konate the 30th minute because he was bad. Like these were giving Trent performances against United last year. Like they were bad. Like he was so bad. Like I was shocked. Like he couldn't hit the ball. Mateta was getting the better of him. Like he almost killed us today. Even we lost, but then he almost buried us. So I look at Slot like take the players like in the first half, like the one change for me didn't make sense. I'm sure Slot should have made like 3 changes. Like just try and refresh and just try and bring the flow back. Bring Fernwood in the 10, take Gakpo in the wing, take out Bradley. If you wanted to bring Frimpong, but then like make quick changes. Like you you can only make one change for Bradley for Soboslai. No, like just make big changes because now we were so bad in the first half. Like this was one of the worst first half I've ever seen. So now Slot also you might look at him now and just try to adapt to the game much quicker, maybe.
Now, Shaban is saying I'm wrong, and that's never happened before. So I have to say that's something stupid to say here. But he said if Ekitike would be in, nothing would have been different. And well, the mistakes in the defense would have been the same. But what I'm trying to point out here is that, like both West and Drew and Craig also have pointed out, is we're lacking the flow. We're lacking the second or third or fourth gear. And I believe if Ekitike had been available, we had Slot would have had not to do. He hadn't been forced to make so much changes. He could have played Gakpo instead, even though he's been off. He could have, like we would have not had that cup game feeling like Drew talked about. Like we have a bunch of players who haven't linked up. Ekitike has been linked up with the players, so I think that would have worked better. But still, Konate and for me, Bradley would have been off the game anyway. So I'm not saying the result would have changed. I say that the feeling or the possibility to maybe go up early in the game would have been there.
The tempo of the game was too slow right from the beginning.
But that's nothing new.
We played the game or the tempo of the game at Crystal Palace's pace all afternoon. What I would have done, I would have put Chiesa and Rio on at half time to inject more pace into the forward line. Because if you look at Rio and Federico, the instant they pick the ball up, their first instinct is to drive forward, not go sideways or backwards. It's forwards, which then puts the back four under pressure, which is what you want. But Crystal Palace all afternoon, they weren't threatened once, because if we'd have gone 1-0 up, it would have been a different ball game. But as soon as they went 1-0 up, the onus was on us to break them down because they're at home. They're not under any pressure because they weren't expected to win anyhow. We were massive favourites for today, But I sincerely hope that Ernie. I'm not gonna slate Ernie Slot here because he gets very little wrong, but you can't be right all the time. Today he's got more wrong than what he's got right, and let's hope he learns from it and we improve on it. Because my only concern now is this will give other teams confidence coming up against us, because I've looked at the fixture list and we're not at home now until the 19th of October. So the next league game we play is Chelsea away next weekend, which is another massive game. So this is okay, if we're going to have a bad game, let's get it out the way, and we've done that this afternoon. But let's make sure it's the last for me.
But Drew, like Craig said, the tempo is too slow, like you all said, and for me that's nothing new. I mean, I think the tempo's been slow more or less every game. We take time to get into the rhythm, to get in up to speed, and we usually waste of the first half or most of it before we start to move about and do it the right way. And do you fear that this will give our opposition food for thought? Do you think that they will look at this and say, okay, if we attack Liverpool in the first 10 minutes, get a goal, we can park the bus, and that will be successful? Or do you think this is just based on our own personal faults, that when we get rid of that, we will have control again?
Yeah, I think today was down to our performance. Like the starting slow, we have done that, but we also we had the game against Atletico where we started brilliantly and got 2 goals. We started against Bournemouth, got 2 goals. Like Newcastle, we've had those games where we started well. I know we can be slow. I think the problem is when we slip down into second gear, once we hit cruise control. That can be at the start of the game, or it can be after we've gone up and we just take our foot off the gas. I think that's the problem, maybe, is not being able to regulate that, how much pressure we're putting on, and then easing up at the wrong moments. It's just, it's annoying because it's the last thing you want to see is players just waltzing around the pitch, not giving it their all. But I don't know, game management's there. It's a hard one. I'm not as worried about us not starting strongly. I think it's if Slot wants them to come out punching, we can do that. We've shown we can do that. I think it's getting the right combination of players on the field. I see some players have talked about why is he still experimenting, and it's I honestly think Slot doesn't know what the best starting 11 is right now. We've brought in 5-6 players in the offseason who are top quality players, and if you're picking on skill versus cohesion at this point, the lineups would be different. We're at that stage where we don't know, I feel the best starting 11, and that's a problem in some regards. But I think it's just something that Slot needs to figure out, and he will figure out. He'll get the best out of the players, and this has to be that Nottingham Forest game last year when we lost and everyone was furious, and then it just turned from there, and Liverpool kept cruising after that. So if we can do that, like Craig said, where this just has to be the game where we draw the line and say we cannot accept a performance like this ever for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Drew, because I think Klopp also had that Tottenham game where kind of things turned around after that one. And it should have been 4-0 at halftime at least. So if you time travel 5 years into the future and you look at this and say, oh, 2-1, well, that's not too bad. It doesn't help. But West, do you agree with your friends here that we will sort it out? It will be good. This will be the turning point, or do you think this will give our opponents, a drive to go at us and maybe succeed?
No, no, really, I agree with you. I see this game like the first game is where we're bound to have these type of games, and then we kick on. So, the first game, we lost the first game, and then we played AC Milan, we beat AC Milan, then we went on a run. So, I'm actually okay. Of course, I'm pissed, but then I don't think this must be a concern. Where are we gonna drop off from now? I don't think so. The only time I'll be concerned is when we play Galatasaray. This when then we get popped off the park like Crystal did to us. That's when my concerns start alarming. But then for now, of course, we're all pissed off, but I don't think we should be concerned per se, because this is Nottingham Forest game. So I'm actually calm, okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned that we lost because it is a tough opponent. We all know that. They are now the only unbeaten team in the Premier League this season, and it's mostly our fault because we do a lot of mistakes, and we're not, working very well. I would have been much more, fuming and pissed off if it were lost on a counter against Arsenal, for instance, who's been playing a low block for 96 minutes. That would have pissed me more off because this we should have lost, in the first 45 minutes. But well, I think Craig, do you have any more thoughts on this subject before we close off?
Yeah, I just think looking at it from trying to put a positive slant on it in a way. I think everybody's upset how dysfunctional we've been this afternoon. Arne Slot, I still think he's the best tactical manager in the Premier League. And if you look at the players we've got the fixture list we've got is horrendous anyway, and we've got 2 tough games coming up this week, and I think the lads they'll probably get tomorrow. Well, they might train tomorrow. I don't know. They might get tomorrow off, but they'll be back in probably Monday morning. I'd take Verts out the firing line for the moment for Tuesday night. I'd take him out the firing line, take the pressure off him, because everybody's banging on about how much we've paid for him. So let's take the pressure off. I'm confident in the guy, and I'm confident in everybody else. I just think what we've got to do, what we didn't do today, is do the basics well. You've got to get the basics right first, and that's what we didn't do from the off. But we've got to start winning second balls, with defending corners and throw-ins better, because we know we've got the personnel. But I agree with Drew 100%. This is the Nottingham Forest from last season, and I don't think Arne Slot and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will let this happen again, and hopefully not. So yeah, it's a bitter pill to swallow. Let's put it that way. And hopefully we'll all be feeling a little bit better this time next weekend. I mean, if you want, it could be worse. You could be a Man United fan. They got thumped 3-1 by Brentford this afternoon. So, and Quaheen Keller saved a great penalty. So there is, every cloud has a silver lining.
Everything could always be worse.
I mean, you could be talking to our friend, Mr. Ruben Amorim, XG statistician for anything Liverpool, couldn't you?
Well, we have a statistics fan among us, and he's called Stephen.
Yes.
And that's this guy. And in our chat, we all guys know he's been very statistical. He's been said, well, everything's even out in the long run, and blah, 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 blah.
I read it.
Yeah, you saw my tweet earlier, my message earlier.
Yeah.
Well, we've had one over a late loss, so we have 5 late wins, and now we have 1 late loss. So it will even out, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Wes, do you have any thoughts about the way forward? Do you want to make any changes to the Galatasaray game? We're going to talk. We're going to have a stream about that later on. But yeah.
I think, like I'm sure everyone saw the rumors yesterday. Liverpool will not get a centre back. I think they need to now, because these performances cannot be going under the radar. I think they need to now. So I'm looking at that way, like, yes, we have Gomez, but then now we need a centre back because Konate. Yeah, I can't. This performance I saw it before from Cherningson Arnold. The way his head has turned. So now, like, just get me a centre back now, because I can't. Because today I almost had a heart attack. 30 minutes in the game, I couldn't believe it.
Well, even if you agree or not, Drew, a new centre back is still a few months away. But what will you like to see changed for the Champions League game?
Just 100% energy, like, from the players. I think Slot will figure it out. I don't want to see like people walking on the pitch, not for the next 2 games. international duty after the Chelsea match. But I think showing the fans, like every single player on the pitch needs to show the supporters that they're giving 110% and that they want it more than the opposition, and then absolutely blow them off the park. I think that's the reaction we need to see.
I agree. Hassan says we expect the same game in Istanbul, but I think it's not possible. Well, yeah, I don't think we're going to have. I disagree. I don't think we're going to have 2 games like this on a row. Whether it's Premier League or Champions League or Carabao Cup or whatever, we're not going to have 2 games like this. I would surprise me a lot. I think there will be a lot of changes. Not a lot of changes, but I hope there will be some changes and some hard words with the team after this game.
Yeah.
You had some words, Craig, before we go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw when the final whistle went. Obviously, Arne Slot has had a word with the officials and shaking the hands of the Palace players. I'd be very interested to what he said to Mark Gay, because he had a chat with him. So that I don't, that would be interesting to see what comes out of that. But I agree with you. I think we'll see. I think we'll see a different performance in Istanbul on Tuesday night. It's not going to be easy, that's for sure. But it never is going over there, to be honest. And it's going to be the welcome to hell banner is going to be out in force, that's for sure. But if we ever want to get ourselves back on track, then there's no better place to go and do it. I think we go to Chelsea.
I want to thank you guys for being on this stream. I want for people who are new to our Anything Liverpool, I would like you to follow, subscribe, and like the posts we have and this stream. And I would like to have a final word, and that is when we got the 1-1 goal, we ran in. 2 players ran in and got the ball and tried to chase the winning goal. Arsenal, well, they'll celebrate like it was just won the World Cup. So the mentality in our team is totally different. So I think we're going to bounce back. I think we're going to bounce back very good. And I think this is going to be an exciting week until the next international window. Thank you, West, Drew, and Craig for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it, even though the result was not like we hoped for. And there will be a new stream on Tuesday, I think, a pre-game to the Champions League game. Hope to see you there, and thank you for joining.